All right. Hello and welcome to all of you. And really a pleasure for me that all of you are here. And I'm looking forward to our time together. I'm going to take you through. I'm going to take you through some basic mechanics. I'm going to teach you some fundamental things. And basically, it's about mind. It's always going to be about mind. Mind is really our story, after all. All of us are here through the agency of mind. Mind is everything. There's a lot of misconceptions about the nature of human design. Human design is something that is purely mechanical. It's a way of looking at our nature and being able to take advantage of the tools that we can develop out of understanding mechanics. Mechanics can be an extraordinary thing. It gives each and every one of us, it gives each and every one of you an incredible opportunity to live out something that is really the most remarkable of all, because it cannot be described and it cannot be measured, because it is the uniqueness that is you. It's what my job is. That is, my job is here to empower the potential of uniqueness in human beings. And it is not something that is easy. It isn't. And it is a journey that is deeply complex if one is going to shake away the impact of the homogenized world that we all live in. I'm going to show you things about the nature of conditioning and the way in which conditioning influences your mind. But I want you to grasp something about conditioning. Conditioning is not about good or bad. There is no such thing. You know, we live in a very, very dense Maya. Everything about the nature of this Maya is that it carries conditioning. And it carries conditioning because we are an aspect of the way in which life has evolved on this plane. We are a bioform. And as a bioform, we have certain fundamental rules. They are fundamental genetic rules. And the rule begins with survival. Survival. In order for a bioform to survive, it has to be able to reproduce. And in order to be able to reproduce successfully, it needs to reproduce with something that is different. Different. You know, it is a deep cultural understanding that, we don't have children with our relatives. It's a dead-end street genetically, and it's always going to lead to dilemmas. What we're dealing with as a biological imperative in us is that we are designed from head to toe to be deeply, deeply excited and attracted to what we are not. This is what the story is all about. We are nothing but receptors, and receptors only to fulfill the biological demands. It has nothing to do with our psychology. It has nothing to do with our potential as beings. Nothing. It is fundamentally to keep the species alive. Now, of course, obviously, I understand the point. But you have to see what the impact is. You're looking at a design. And in looking at a design, there are certain things that are really basics that we're looking at. And the first thing to recognize about the nature of a body graph is that when you're looking at a body graph, you're looking at fundamentally two things. And there is an exception, that is reflectors, who are 1.4% of the human population. And I'll give you something special on my Facebook page tomorrow, because I'm not really going to talk about reflectors today. What most of us look at and see, the 98+% of humanity, is that if you look at their designs, you see a combination of what is colored in and what is open. What is colored in and what is open. Now look, I am a dualist. Human design is dualistic knowledge. I call the universe a biverse. We live in a vast, complex duality. The duality is inherent in human design in its fundamental calculation itself. But before I go there, when you're looking at that body graph, at that difference between what is colored in and what isn't, is that you're dealing with the basic phenomena of whether or not your life is going to be lost in the homogenized, conditioned world, or you're going to be able to navigate as yourself and fulfill your unique potential on this plane. Now, we're all wired. And what you're looking at here when you see the activations that are here, the things that are colored in, is you're looking at our genetic imprint. It's an imprint. It's an imprint that is designed to differentiate us from the other. From the other. This is what this is all about. Human design is the science of differentiation. The science of differentiation. It is about difference. So we all come into the world with set wiring. We come in with those aspects that are activated, and those aspects, if you bring them all together, the holistic whole of that is our unique potential, and inherent in that, our purpose on this plane. But when you look at what is open, and there is much more that is open in a design than is colored in, there are all these centers that are open, there are all these gates that are open, there are these channels that are open. There's all this openness that is there. Now understand something about this openness. It is not about being empty. It's not about being broken. And it doesn't need to be fixed. This is where you have receptors. These are the aspects of your nature that are always looking for that thing that is not you. This is what is opened unto all of that difference. And again, this is not about good or bad. There is no morality here in the mechanics. The fact is that if you live your life being controlled by your openness, you're lost. But if you live your life aware of your openness, you become wise. Your design is the student. Those activations that you have, this represents who you are. And what is open in your life is the school that you go to in this life. What you're here to learn, what you're here to be wise about, not what you're here to be trapped by. And you see, the openness that is here, all of the openness that is here, this is all receptors and all attracted to something else that's not you, that you don't have. That suddenly there is a part of you helplessly, biologically, that needs it, desires it, has a passion for it, whatever it may be. And you live your whole life, looking for something you can never have. Never. Oh, you can latch on to somebody who has a defined spleen and is going to make you feel better. But it doesn't mean they're good for you. Because those beings who have an open splenic center, they hold on to things that are bad for them. Whatever that is relative to who they are as a being. You see, the thing to grasp so deeply is that all of this openness, what it does is it feeds your mind. Look at the duality of human design. There's two calculations. There are two calculations, and they're far apart. They're 88 degrees of the sun in its movement apart. That's approximately 88, 89 days that separates these two calculations. They're very different things. And they have very different responsibilities because we are a binary consciousness. A binary consciousness. And that each aspect of what is our consciousness potential is here to operate in its own domain correctly. The design. This is a calculation that takes place before your birth. It's actually the moment that the vehicle is ready to take the personality into its existence, to share this holistic life with the personality. This is the form principle. It's your biogenetic inheritance. It's what you've inherited mostly from grandparents, actually. We have a deeper genetic connection with them than to our parents. And all of this biogenetic information, this information gets translated into the body graph, just a number system. So this design sun in the 9th gate, in the 4th line, here's the 9th gate down here, in the sacral center, pointed down to the root, a format energy. The gate of the taming power of the small, the gate of detail, the energy for detail work, the energy to be ready to focus and concentrate. It's a biological trait. It's a genetic trait. It's buried in the blood. It's not what the person is aware of. It's what others see. It's what, over time in your own life, you begin to recognize as traits in yourself, not because you're consciously aware of them, because you cannot be, but because they're a part of everything that is you. This is the unconscious. On the other side, you have the personality. Oh, the personality. What we live with. Who we think we are. You know? The personality. And every single one of these aspects of the personality are what we experience consciously. Consciously. It's who we think we are. It obviously is not the whole story. Obviously. And more than that, the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. The holistic being, the body graph, the integration of these two sets of information becomes something else. It becomes the life. The unique life. The potential of the unique life. And because we are a binary consciousness, we have to understand that the personality in the nine-centered being is not responsible for our lives. It's not. It's why we have a body. See, I'm a teacher of form principle. And I'm a teacher of form principle because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to grasp that that's what this is all about. This is what the Maya is. You know, I talk about correctness as a way of navigating through the Maya. And you see, in order to be able to live in this Maya, it is not our minds that can do that for us. It is not. Our minds can align us to the larger conditioned movements on the planet. It's like what I do every day when I write a neutrino forecast on my Facebook page. You know, this is the program at work, and for the vast majority of humanity, this is just what they're going to live out. Without the assumption that they're in some kind of program. I mean, I hate to sound like Neo in Matrix, but it really is what the movie is. You see, our minds in the nine-centered being are for something else. They're not for telling us what we need to do. They're not for making decisions. Everything about the beauty of the mind, and it is deeply beautiful, is its potential to measure. This is what mind does. It measures this and that. This is what it's so incredible at. And you see, if you take that measuring and you put it into a deeply unique filter that's potentially each of you, we have the richness of an aware consciousness field. The unique expression of outer authority. This is what mind is for. My mind can be of value to you as outer authority. It does not tell me what to do in my life, because that's not its job, and it's not because I'm not intelligent enough or this or that. I remember what it was like before. Mind is not good at that. And it will never give you the possibility to be able to experience what you are really here for, which is not to fight with life, but to be able to embrace this life with wonder. I call it entertainment. And it's not about whether your life is going to be a good life or a bad life. Entertainment is everything. It's drama and melodrama and this and that, because this is the form mechanism. But we are not here to be attached to it as a decision maker, where each twist and turn in the road is something that we suffer with. We're not here to struggle on the material plane. As nine-centered beings, we are perfectly equipped to operate on this plane, in this Maya. It's why I repeat strategy and authority over and over and over and over and over again. It is such a beautiful thing. It is not mystical or magical or spiritual. It is just the incredible wonder of mechanics. We're not here to be indulged in the minutiae of navigating on this plane. We have a much deeper and more profound consciousness. See, one of the things that you get to see at the deep levels of this work in the science of differentiation is that we are nothing but designed for cognition, to be aware. And it's not about mantras. It isn't about masters. It's mechanical. Anyone who's ready, anyone can get there because it's mechanical. It simply depends on whether or not it's your time to give up. To give up allowing your mind to determine your life. To enter into the most profound experiment that you can enter into is to embrace this life. You know, I've worked with people now for more than 2 decades. They are mostly running from themselves, looking for something. Thinking that it's not, can't be, couldn't possibly be who they are. But it is you. It is. You see, this is the most horrible thing of the homogenized world. It is that it stripped human beings of understanding how incredible each being truly is. And that you can live that. But you see, you live that first and foremost for you. For you. You cannot live this for someone else. You know, I always remind people to love themselves. It's actually a cruel thing that I do because I know how difficult that is. Because to love yourself, you have to trust your life. And to trust your life, you need something to trust in. To trust that this vehicle is here precisely for the fulfillment of your potential if you'll just allow it to be correct. Because this is what the experiment is, and there is no instant gratification. None. I'm sorry. There isn't. It takes 7 years to cellularly decondition a being. It takes time. Awareness is a treasure. It does not come in a moment. And it does not come when the form is not correct. But it all goes back to the mind over and over and over again because the mind has been playing the game of running your life from the moment you came into the world. Measuring and deciding. Okay, so let's look at how your mind works. We have 2 examples tonight for you. We have one example of a single definition being. Single definition. You can see these 3 centers that are defined. They're connected to each other continuously. Then I will also show you a split definition. Now, the reason I'm showing you these two definition kinds is so that you can understand the two variations of conditioning and how conditioning goes directly to the way in which your mind, as not self, will make decisions. Okay, so let's begin with the single definition. Now, the thing to tell you is that if you're a triple split definition, those of you who know what that is if you have three parts of you that are connected, but they're not connected to each other, you actually have the same phenomena of what I'm about to describe. In other words, you're deeply sensitive to the conditioning of open centers. Now again, it's going to vary from design to design. It's going to vary from the minimal. This is pretty minimal. This is just 3 centers that are defined. So you're going to have 6 centers that are open. You're going to have all kinds of variations. And yet, if you're a single definition, or as I said, a triple split definition, it means that the deepest conditioning in your life comes through these centers. So let's take a look at it for a moment. I gave you a brief illustration a few moments ago of the open splenic center. Now, the spleen is the body's laundry. It's the immune system. It's the body's feel-good. It is actually our oldest awareness, our instinct, our intuition, our gut judgmentation is all rooted here in the open spleen. Now think about what it's like to be a baby and you come into the world with an open spleen. It means that you're fundamentally insecure. Insecure. These are the babies that cling a lot, particularly if they have a mother, for example, that defines their spleen or has a defined spleen herself. Because they're looking for that security. They're looking for that feel-good. They will cling and hold on even when their mother is enraged and exhausted from being clung to, because it is so important for them. Now, what develops out of this is a not-self strategy. It's not self, not as a negative term. It's just not their imprint. It's not who they are. It's what they're open to. And what they're open to is holding on to things that are not good for them. The woman with the open spleen who has an abusive partner, who defines their spleen. That spleen can be so powerful in the way in which that person thinks that she will hold on to that being even though she's being abused. And you see that holding on to things that are bad for you become a platform for the way in which the mind is going to operate. So when the mind is being told by somebody, you really shouldn't be with this person anymore, whatever the conversation is, there's this open spleen digging into the mental background saying, no, we've got to hold on. And most of these beings do. But it's not simply one center that is open here. Human beings are deeply complex. You know how complex your minds are. There's all kinds of different information here, and I am only giving you the surface. Here's somebody that has an undefined sacral center. This is an emotional ego manifester. They've got an undefined sacral center. They don't know when enough is enough, because this is the theme of the open sacral. Here you have a list of them, so you can peruse them. And if you have your chart that you can see, or as I suggested to projectors, if you have charts of others, take a look at their not-self. Because you see, what comes out of all of this openness is a not-self purpose. The purpose to become all the things that you're not. Think about that. This is what most human beings do in their lives. They spend their lives in a not-self pursuit. And it's not like they get it, because they can't. It's not them. You can hold on to that person that has a defined spleen, but it doesn't mean you have that. It means you're being conditioned by it. And more than that, you amplify it. Amplify it. Think about what that feels like. When you take in definition from somebody else and into your open center, you don't just take it in, you amplify it. You can amplify it to the point of distortion. You can get caught up in thinking how good that person makes you feel even when they're treating you awfully. Here's an open G center. You can see in the open G center trying to find direction in love. Never feeling like you're in the right place. Never feeling like even when you have somebody in your embrace that they might be the right one. And your mind. This mind that you trust to make these decisions for you over and over and over again. This mind that tells you to go do something and the whole thing blows up in your face. And what do? You listen to your mind tell you what you should do because of that. Over and over and over again. You see, if you're going to transform your life, there's only one thing that you need to do. Is take decision-making authority away from your mind. It isn't about no mind. There is no such thing. The mind is going to be what it is. It's going to measure in its unique way. It is going to compare. It is going to do all those dualistic, Maya-building things that mind does. And they can be quite spectacular. As long as it's not your mind that's pushing you to do this or that. Because that's not where your life is. And it isn't about avoiding taking these things in. You can't avoid it. Conditioning is life. It's everywhere. It can be deeply beautiful to take in the other. But to have your own authority. To have your own authority. See, there is for me no other authority. There is only the authority that is the inherent right of each being. Your own. It's not up to parents, children, gods, politicians, this and that. Human children are raised to give up their authority from the moment that they come into the world. And you're only going to meet what is your true authority when you meet it out of your form. Because your mind doesn't know what the hell to do. It doesn't. And then you never get to see what's really there. You know, when all the sheep take off their sheep's clothing. And truly we get to see what's there. See, all this openness, all these open centers, 41% of humanity are single definitions. 13% are triple split definitions. The majority of humanity is conditioned by their open centers. Their minds are always conditioning their decision-making based on that, not based on who they are, not based on that at all, but based on something that they can never be. There is a general lack of worthiness in beings. A deep inadequacy and insecurity that has been conditioned into humanity from day one. That as a child that you were always compared, that you're always placed in conditioning situations over and over again, that you're not raised correctly, that you're not fed correctly, that you have no idea, nobody tells you how to make a decision as you, so that you can take advantage of all that openness. I have a totally open sacral center. I have a totally open emotional system. I have learned so much about the nature of life, the nature of emotions, because I'm open, but I can remember when it was my hell. When what wasn't me, I assumed was me. And that my mind was busy playing out, I am a single definition, playing out this scenario. I want to show you the other side of the coin. This is a split definition. You can see that. You can see that this section here, where you have these two centers connected to each other, is cut off from this one over here. So this is a split definition. Now, they're actually 45% of humanity. And along with a very minor group, the quadruple split definitions, these are beings that are deeply impacted not by centers, though the conditioning is there, but it's secondary. But these are beings that are specifically conditioned by gates. They're called bridges. If you look at, it's one of the things that I teach people when I train them in human design, and I remind them throughout their careers that this is a visual science. Look at this as a map and understand that you're looking at ways in which energy moves. And you can see that, you have two sets of energy not connected to each other. Now, there are ways that they can connect. There's this 20th gate here. If that gate was present, the two aspects of their definition would be connected together. The same thing is true here of the 31st gate. The same thing is true down here of the 59th gate. In other words, any activation of those three gates will bring the two parts of their design together. Now think about what it means to be one of that 45% of humanity that has a split definition, about half of you that are here in this room. It means that there's always a part of you that feels like you're not whole, that there's something missing. Now, you're actually the beings that have conditioned all of us to pair bonding, because pair bonding to split definitions is the most important of all things. And not just simply pair bonding in terms of, sexual partnerships, any kind of pair bond, friends, business associates, whatever the case may be. In essence, it is this 45% of humanity that creates a kind of glue, that links all of us together, because they create these demands for these bonds, and they're looking for something. And what they're looking for, they think they're missing. They think they're missing. So they look for it their whole life. So think about it. The 31st gate is a gate in the throat center. It's a gate of influence. It's actually the voice of leadership. I lead or I don't lead in that sense. And beside it is the 20th gate. Now this is different. This is individual. And it is an existential gate. It's the gate of the now. It's here in essence to express the potential of the awakened form in the now. This is the integration system that runs here, these four channels that interconnect with each other. This is really the backbone of what it is to be human. It is a deeply primitive, survival-oriented circuitry. And that 20th gate is demanding the now. To be there in the now, to be able to be the leader in the now becomes incredibly important to this being. I have to be the leader in the now. I can't wait for leadership. I can't, learn leadership. I want it now. And not only leadership in the now, but here's the 59th gate, and the 59th gate is a genetic role gate. It's our role gate in bonding. And the 59th gate here, this is the channel of intimacy, is looking for intimacy. And looking for the intimacy that will bring leadership in the now. It becomes an underlying not-self-purpose for this being in their life. If you look out in the not-self world, if you look out in the world around you, those beings that you respect or admire because they've accomplished this or accomplished that, I guarantee you that if you look at your design, you will see that what they have followed is their not-self purpose, because this is what is the norm on this planet. I am not normal. This is not what this is all about. I am a heretic. I am not into normal, sane, general, not into any of those. It's like this knowledge itself. It's for your experiment. Where it goes, it goes. It isn't about me. It isn't about repeating some kind of model, because there is no model. We are truly, potentially in that sense, unique, each and every one of us. Because this is really what the story is about. See, I think one of the things that we have forgotten is how much discipline it takes to be aware. Truly, there was a time when such paths were marked out in ways in which the discipline was either there or all was lost. And it is not about somebody imposing a discipline on you, because this is not what this is all about. It is something that has to arise within you. I can tell in the journey with beings. It starts with not listening to your mind, entering into that experience of trusting in what is your strategy and authority to see where it takes you. Not everybody can do this. I know that. You can want to. You see, this knowledge, it is very deep and it is very profound. Because it's a science, it has been necessary to teach all of that, to elaborate on all of that. But that's not what this is about. It's about living this. Without living, without giving up the way in which you have played out the movie. Taking that step that allows you a chance to see the possibility of what it is that you're here for. There is a fulfillment of purpose in the unique being differentiating. There is the beauty of what it is to be here on this plane, despite the fact that this world is such in horrendous shape. The horrors that are out there. The billions of human beings that are suffering on this planet. Billions of them. You see, you have such a privilege. We have such a privilege. Incredible privilege. The time, the resources, all of it. Oh, don't waste this away on the petty, mundane mental trip. But you see, you need to live what is the essence of what it is to be you. To allow it to emerge. To sleep in your own aura. To dare, in that sense, truly to be different. Because you see, the mind's only interested in fear. This is how the mind has been controlling you all of your life. The fear that you're not in control. The fear that you can't control your life. The fear that you have to do this or that. This fear that says, oh, I can't do this. It's like saying to a generator, wait for love. Wait. Don't go chasing. You're not here to chase. Don't chase the job. Don't chase the career. Don't chase the lover. Don't chase. Wait. And while you're waiting, enjoy yourself. Because life goes on. Wait. See, I've had an enormous privilege in my career. One of the things that I've been able to see is how incredible it is to look at each and every type and to see the potential that is there, the power that is there, and how spiritual that is. Generators. 2/3 of humanity, the life force of the planet. You're absolutely here to be surrendered beings. Because everything is here for you. Everything. I mean, I don't have that. I'm a manifester. I look at generators and I just shake my head. I mean, life is just there for you. It's all there for you. Everything's there for you. Everything. But you see, your mind's so used to not being you that it thinks that all the things that you should be have nothing to do with you. Because this is what the mind does. All that openness that it's hunting for. You know, that dream here of being that leader. It's not who this being is. It's not. And you see, there is no stamp of what this being is going to be or will be. There is no measuring uniqueness. It's not the way that it works. None. You don't want to spend your whole life chasing after emptiness. Think of it. The defined, the open centers, the open gates, the open channels. Spending your whole life thinking that's what it's all about. And getting stuck and caught in traps from all those beings that bring it your way. Just because somebody brings the 31st gate doesn't mean that they're the right being for the intimacy of this bond. There are so many human beings that can bring that. But what a trap. Oh, I think I got it. And then you realize you don't have it. And then you realize you don't like it. And then you go looking for another one. You know all those people who get divorced and you meet their second partner? You know the joke? You see, from the earliest moments of being, we have been hardwired and conditioned away from our nature. You know, think about this being over here. Think about growing up in a house where the mother and the father have the 17th gate. You know, if the mother and father have the 17th gate, everything that goes on mentally in that family is going to be logical. Everything. That child is going to grow up being conditioned by opinions, because that's what the 17th gate is. And is going to grow up intellectually trying to make sure it's certain based on the data in its opinions. Everything about it is going to be logical. It goes away from home. It goes to school. There are certain teachers they connect with. You know, if they get a teacher that doesn't give them the 17th gate, they don't really like them. If you look at their friends that they get along with, you'll see that they have the same wiring. So they continue the same conditioning. It goes on. It becomes their partners, their lovers, their friends. It's that kind of story. You live your whole life that way. It's not who you are. And it's your mind that keeps reminding you over and over and over again to follow that. That's how you get it. Oh, that's how we get it. Oh, that's how we get it. Nah, it's not how you get it. It isn't. I teach form principle in order to hope for and support the potential emergence of passenger consciousness. We are passengers in this vehicle. We sort of rent them, you know. They're short term. They are certainly not ours. In the cosmology of human design, the personality crystal, what the Judeo-Christian tradition would call the soul, the personality crystal not only isn't in the body for the first, basic beginnings of the form principle, until 88 degrees of the sun before birth, but it doesn't even sit in the vehicle itself. It actually sits above the vehicle. That's why you always see this triangle is actually outside of the physical body. This is who we are. This is the most ancient aspect of us. This is the eternal of us. It is this personality crystal that is filtering the neutrino field. It is filtering the consciousness field uniquely. But it is not in charge of the form. That is an illusion. We know that biologically, that everything that you think and say and do takes place, after or before, in that sense, that you're consciously aware of it. It's just a mechanism. We fool ourselves over and over again to thinking that we're in charge of all of this. We are passengers in these vehicles. The magic of mechanics is what mechanics does, is it allows us a way to see how we can take advantage of the mechanics of our own design to be able to have a way to safely navigate on this plane so that we can live in this Maya with grace and dignity and at the same time be liberated as a passenger consciousness. This is not my body. It is not. I am a passenger. I am deeply, deeply different from the essence and mechanisms that make up this form principle. I am a passenger. And I am totally absorbed in the drama that seems to be this existence. Absorbed in it, because it is the entertainment. Not judging it, not involved in its decision-making processes, but experiencing the phenomena of what it is to be here. It's an incredible thing to be here and to be aware. And you can only do that when you surrender to your form, to these forms, to the miracle of what these mechanisms are, because they are incredible machines. It's not like you've got a mind without a brain. They are incredible machines. The gift of this knowledge is how to drive in one of these things. How to get to be the perfect passenger on the perfect ride. Your ride, not mine. Yours, uniquely. This is what we are all about. If there is any responsibility in being a nine-centered being, is that we are here to commune with each other cognitively, with awareness. And we can only lie to each other if we are caught with our mind running our lives, because you never tell the truth when your mind is making your decisions. Never. There's always some part of you covering your ass. But you see, the moment that the mind is not your decision maker is the moment that the mind is somebody else's lover, somebody else's great treat. The wonder of what it is to commune in awareness with the other. We are different from our predecessors, the seven-centered being. Communion for them was deeply, deeply physical. We're here to commune through awareness. We're not here to be caught by the same physical traps. We're not here to be lost to consciousness because we are so deeply locked into trying to control every aspect of our existence, only to suffer as a consequence, only to blame. You miss all the magic. You miss all the magic. You see, the truth is that the mundane plane is nothing but magic. Nothing. It isn't about the illusion of exalted states and this and that. I call it taking out the garbage with awareness. What a miracle it is to be here and to be at ease. That all of this just continues to unfold in the way that it does. And that we are here as instruments of awareness. We're here to measure. We're here to share the measurements. We're here for the first time to discover what it means to be excited by a consciousness field. Where instead of a room full of parrots repeating over and over and over again the same old tired bromides, that we have unique expressions of awareness. This is our right. This is your right. It's what we're here for. Let the vehicle have its ride. Let the life be the life. Trust that strategy and authority. You will see that it will give you your drama. And let us know, in being able to share your outer authority, what it is that you see, that you understand, that you know, that you can make sense of, that is your unique gift to someone else. This is our communion. I hear the New Age talk a lot about the consciousness field. Right now, there is only a homogenized plane. The consciousness field emerges with unique beings expressing awareness. Now's our time. And it's not something you need to hope for, and it's not something you need to dream of. It's something you can live for yourself, for love, for the future, for our children. One step at a time. Release yourself from the control of your minds. See your mind for its true beauty. It is beautiful. Your mind is beautiful. My mind is beautiful. When it's freed of its ugliness, when we take away its distorted inadequacies in guiding us, then its magic is released. We get the best of both worlds. This is what it is to be a binary consciousness. To live on this plane with grace and to commune with others in awareness. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, all of you. It certainly was nice for me to see you all here. And nice to share it with you. All I can do is, ask you, inform you, invite you to enter into your journey. Your journey. All right. To all of you, wherever you are, thank you for participating. Nice to see you all. And remember, follow your strategy and authority and love yourself. Bye for now.